All right, here is lesson 4 on percent growth and decay. All right, so before we get started, just a quick reminder, whenever we're talking about percent, it's basically two words, right? When we say per, that's like saying division, and when the cent just means 100. So another way to think about this is if you see the symbol percent, just divide it by 100. So another way to think about this is 87 divided by 100. Percent written as a decimal is going to be 0.87. Another way to think about this is if I were to wanted to take, just move that decimal place over 2 places. So 33% just be written would be 0.33. Okay. So if I'm looking for 87% of 29, I'm just going to go 0.87 times 29. And that's going to be 25.23. Do not round it. We're trying to find 33% of 104. We're just going to multiply those together. We're going to get 34.32. Okay. There's your 2 warm-up questions. Okay, so in this problem, we're going to have to do some word problems, okay? So there's going to be 2 different formulas we're going to talk about, right? We're going to either going to be increasing or decreasing. So when we're doing this, I want you to think about I'm going from 100%, right? So when we talked about 100%, remember, I'm just going to be moving the decimal place here to here, right? So another way to say 100% would be like just saying just 1, okay? So here's going to be our formula, right? We're going to say our y equals our principal. If I'm trying to increase it, go in a positive direction, I'm going to take 100% plus my change. So in this case, our rate is just going to be our interest, whatever percentage it is. If I want to find a decrease, I'm going to take my principal or the starting amounts and go 100 minus whatever my rate is. Okay, pretty straightforward. And you'll see how that looks like in a second, right? R just represents our percent as a decimal. And then P represents your principal or your starting amount. Starting number. Okay. All right. So let's go back. If I take the result, the number 12, and increased it by 25%, right? So when we're saying this, I'm trying to take, this is my starting number, and this is going to be my rate. But we don't write 25. We're going to write this as 0.25. Okay. So again, we're going to do 12 times 1 plus 0.25. We're just going to throw that right into the calculator. We have 12 times 1 plus 0.25. So this is just going to be 15. Okay. All right. So now let's look at example 2. What is the result when the number 14 is decreased by 2%, right? Again, if you have a decimal, do not round it. Okay. So we have 14, I'm decreasing. We see the word decrease, I'm going down, so I'm going to subtract. 2% is just going to be written as 0.02. And this is going to be my starting amount. Okay, so if I'm trying to find, I'll do 14 times 1. I'm decreasing minus 0.02. So you can do 14 times 1 minus 0.02. And you are going to get 13.72. Right? When you're doing this practice in Delta Math, please just plug that into as your answer. Okay, that's the first page. So you flip to the back side. You get questions like this, okay? All right. If you bought a stock last year for a price of $73, okay, and it has risen 7.1% since then, how much is the stock worth now to the nearest cent? Okay, so before we get moving on anything, let's talk about this line right here. When we say to the nearest cent, that is essentially saying I want to round to 2 decimal places, right?
So I'm going to say to like 5, this number right here. Okay. If we have anything beyond that, we round. Okay, so my principal is $73. My rate is 7.1, and I'm increasing, right? So it has risen, increased, and I'm going to write my rates as 7.1%. I'm going to move this decimal place over 1, 2, so it'd be 0.071. Okay, so your R is going to be 0.071. Let me try that again. There we go. That's what I was trying to write. Okay, your principal is going to be $73. We can just write it as 73. So we're going to have 73, 1 plus 0.071. Throw that into our calculator. We have 73 times 1 plus 0.071. And you're going to get $78 and 0.183. Okay, so the nearest cent, I'm rounding here. This is going to tell me, do I round that up or leave it alone, right? Anything that it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we leave it alone. If it's 5 or higher, we round up. So again, 3 is less than 5. So my final answer is going to end up being I have $78.18. All right, so example 4. In a newspaper, it was reported that yearly robberies in Springfield were up 26% to 215 in 2014 from 2013. How many robberies were there in Springfield in 2013? Okay, so this is a tricky question. You got to really pay attention to what it's asking for. It's telling you we have a couple years. We have 2013, we have 2014, we have 2000, and no, we don't have 2015. We just have these 2 years. Okay, so robberies were up 26% when we went from to 215 in 2014, right? So we know that we have 250 robberies in 2014 from 2013. So going from here to here, the question it's asking is how many robberies were in this year here? Okay, so if all right, so remember, if we think about the problem that we started with, so if I'm increasing, it's 1 plus our rates. I'm just going to plug in the information I know, okay? So we know that we don't know the starting amount, but we do know the result was 215. So this result is going to go in for y. So we have 215 equals, I don't know what p is, but I can find this, right? Because when we write it at 26%, we just move that decimal place over 2 places and you get 0.26. Okay. We're just going to do some algebra from first semester. We're solving for p at this point, right? I can combine like terms, right? This is 1 plus 0.26 is just going to be, whoops, let's go down to the next line. We have 1 plus 0.26. So this is like saying 215 equals p times 1.26. All right, so how do I get rid of that and get p by itself? We need to divide. So we're going to divide both sides by 1.26. It's going to cancel out on the right-hand side. I'm just going to move everything over here. So we have p equals, and we're going to use our handy-dandy calculator, 215 divided by 1.26, and you would get 170.6349, and I'm just going to stop there. We can keep going if we wanted to. So let's go back to our question to figure out where we need to round to. In a newspaper, it was reported that yearly robberies in Springfield were up 26% to 215 in 2014 from 2013. How many robberies were there in Springfield in 2013? Okay, we're just going to round to the nearest robbery because you can't really have half a robbery. So we're going to round to the nearest whole number, right? So this 6 is going to tell me if I round up or leave it alone, right? It's bigger than 5, so we round it up. So p the number of robberies, the number of robberies we started with in 2013 is going to be 171. Okay. So again, it's really important for you to like lay out the question. If you have any questions, feel free to talk to me. Lay it out. Understand, like, hey, Y is like our result, P is where we started, R is going to be our interest rate. You might have to rearrange the equation a little bit. Okay. And that was the notes for lesson 4.